I thought long and hard about making this video, but I've decided to go ahead and do it, and it's mainly in response to the Google I/O event and the unveiling of Google SGE, Search Generative Experience, Google's answer to ChatGPT in search. If you've not heard about it, SGE is a chat-style experience generated by AI and could be set to shake up the entire Google experience forever. The knock-on effect for publishers and niche site owners, a predicted 80% drop in traffic. So we may as well give up now, right? Well, let's not be quite so hasty. While some people in the niche site space have been losing their heads over SGE, others are more upbeat, with Barry Schwartz at Search Engine Land stating that with SGE we see a healthier way of Google linking to publishers and, as he says, supporting the ecosystem. But what does that really mean for us? What's the timescale on this, and will this really destroy niche sites? Well, SGE is in testing right now. Over the next few weeks it will roll out to testers, and this will happen in phases. When it does eventually roll out to users, the chances are it will look a little bit different to what we've seen in Google's release. If I were a betting man, which I'm not, so take this with a pinch of salt, I would say we're likely to have 6 to 12 months before we see SGE being used for the vast majority of people. After all, this was as much about steadying the ship for Google as anything else. They simply had to get something out there in public after Microsoft started using GPT-powered search, and it worked, with Google's parent company Alphabet seeing an 11% jump in their share price directly after the event. Let's not forget, this will be the biggest shake-up to search ever. How users respond to this will be key, and if Google realises that users hate it, then they'll revert straight back to type, or maybe put SGE behind some kind of toggle. And yes, from what we've seen, the usual links to sites will still exist, albeit much further down the page and below the fold. Google still need to figure out exactly where they're going to be putting their ads in the SERPs, so it seems at the moment like they're are a lot more questions than answers when it comes to SGE. And where does it leave us as niche site owners is probably our biggest question. Well, to put it bluntly, there are going to be casualties, but there are going to be lots of opportunities too. The state of play in SEO has always been in flux, and those who can adapt are those who will succeed. Niche site SEO, as we might know it, will probably change, and to be honest, I for one am not particularly upset about that. If you're the sort of person that is out there writing 1,500 word articles on questions such as how many eyes does a horse have, yes, Keith at Minted Empire, I'm looking at you. I know it was tongue-in-cheek, by the way. Well, I think there are better ways that you could be spending your time, and you're not really helping the user. And Google are not blameless here. If we look at all of the updates, the product reviews, the helpful content, the spam brain updates, they seem to have kind of lost the plot in terms of how to serve up useful, genuinely useful information from good quality sites. We only need to look at the state of parasite SEO to see that in action. I believe that to survive GSE plus all of the updates that Google throws at us, that we need to continue this transition from niche sites to authority sites. Now, this starts with the face behind the brand. It trickles through to the entire team if you are using writers, and will now more than ever be helped by a multi-channel, multimedia approach to building out your sites. Before SGE was even announced, niche site owners were already upping their game, and you may need to focus more on affiliate than display ads if you aren't already, as you will likely see traffic drops, particularly if you're focusing heavily on info type content. So if you haven't already made that pivot, now is probably a good time to do that. Now, you should also be focusing a lot more heavily on email and on your socials, and just generally building more engagement with your brand across a range of different platforms. The barriers to entry for success with niche sites is increasing, but it has been for years now. It's just getting that little bit harder. But what that also also means is that the weaker players are starting to drop away, so there is a little bit less competition. Ultimately, Google needs to provide a good user experience, and if they use solely AI to serve up AI generated content, then eventually the user will go elsewhere. So yes, AI is playing more of a role when it comes to content creation and how that information is delivered through search. But real life experience is something that can only come from humans, and that is now where this game needs to be played. It's very much a game of watch this space, but no, it is not time to quit unless you have zero ability to pivot and zero ability to adapt to GSE and what lies beyond it. Guys, thanks very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please drop a like. Do subscribe if you're not already. And you might want to watch this video next that the YouTube AI has decided is best for you. Thanks a lot, guys. See you next time.